Hello everybody, this is Rita of the Shadow. Welcome. So yeah, it's been a long time. I hope you all have a good holiday. And so yeah, and I've been putting this one off because it's actually, I realized it wasn't that easy to explain in a way that other people can understand. So it's kind of the reason why I've been pushing it off. And also I wanted to make sure what I'm telling you is I can't guarantee it's like 100% correct, but it should be making sense and logical, at least in this context, and also should be consistent in this way as well. So yeah. Anyways, so we're gonna talk about cognitive alchemy finally, and so this will be like the first part, I think. And so yeah, and I think you already seen something like this in the last video, and this is just an updated version. The basic idea is still the same, just making slight changes to make it more intuitive in a sense. I mean, it doesn't look like it right now, but everything has a purpose. For example, this one means abstract, this one means concrete, and this is petal, and this is the leaf, and this is the feminine, and this is the masculine, and this is the optigram variant for each of the optigram. And on the four corners, you have the God functions. And if you look at this as a four sides of mind, and this will be the soul temple, this is the mind temple, this is the heart temple, this is the mind temple, and this is the body temple. So yeah, so the four temples are laying on a big circle, and each one of these are the how do you call it, the diapairs within each temple. So it should be straightforward which type they are if you know about the temples. So the soul temples are the INFJs and ESTPs, and the ENFP and ISTJ. Yeah. And in my temple we have the INFPs, which is my type, and ESTJ, and then we have ISTP and ENFJ. And then for the heart temple, you got INTJ and ESFP and ENTP and ISFJ. So the body temple is naturally the remaining four types. So this is the INTP, and this is the ESFJ, and this is the ENTJ, and that is the ISFP. So yeah, so there you go. So you have the temples, and you know what their God functions are, and the inner circle is just representing the inner connectiveness of the all cognitive functions. So so the horizontal lines are the cognitive reflections. So if you have TE here, extroverted thinking, and then you have FE here, extroverted feeling. So if you move from extroverted thinking to extroverted feeling, it is a cognitive reflection. Similarly, if you're moving from introverted intuition, which is this one, to introverted sensing, then it is also a cognitive reflection relationship. And we will also explain later how this relationship is relevant to the four sides of the mind. And so, by the way, these symbols are the symbols that we are using right now. But so just know that these symbols are just one representation, and it's not necessary to use these symbols. You can also just use the letters, for example, T. But so yeah, so this is just to make it look nice, like everything is in circles, you know. So yeah, and the vertical lines, on the other hand, is the what you call the cognitive orbit, which means it's pretty straightforward. So if you have extroverted here, then you're going down to introverted. Sorry, this is feeling, isn't it? Feeling. That would be the introverted feeling versus the extroverted feeling. So all the straight lines are going up and down towards the introversion or extroversion. So right now in this version, the feminine is the above and the masculine is here. But the up and down is not that important. You can easily flip this and put all the masculine function on the top and all the feminine function on the bottom, and this circle will still look the same, but these ones will need to be flipped. They will all need to be flipped. So I haven't done that yet, but I might do it in the future just to make it everything consistent. You will know why later. But so yeah, so for now, just know that this is just one visual representation, and it's just to show you a relationship. So how they represent it is not permanent and should not be treated as absolute. So yeah, and the next one is the diagonal lines, right? So these ones are what you call the axes, because all the functions connected by the pink diagonal lines are the functions that are on an axis to each other. They always come in groups, and they always occupy the opposite side to each other. So, for example, this is the extroverted thinking. It is on an axis with the introverted feeling, and that is what is that? Extroverted sensing is connected to the introverted intuition. So, etc., etc. So if you know about the cognitive functions, then it's easy to figure out what's on the other side of the pole. This is called the axis pole. So yeah, and we will come back to the pink and green line. So if you watch last video, and I think you have a pretty good idea what they are, and we'll also come back to the purple lines later. So yeah, so it looks complicated, but it has a system and everything is there for a reason. So yeah. And there's a quote from Tao Te Ching. the tau that can be told is not the eternal tau. I put a blank here because the tau is just a placeholder name, and he explained in the next line, the name that can be named is not the eternal name. So this is also explaining this one. And the unnameable is the eternal real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Why? Because when you give it a name, you become aware of it. So it's almost like you can't be aware of something without giving it a name, but the name is just a representation of that thing. You know, it's not the thing itself. For example, the name of this device is called iPad, but the word iPad is just a representation of this device. It's not the device itself. So I think you get the idea. And free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestation. So it means that desire doesn't necessarily mean like wanting something. It's, in my interpretation, it's more like you are seeing it from a certain angle. So if you have an angle, if you have an agenda, if you have an interest, you only see the manifestation. So that's why, you know, in the type grid, right, there's the abstract group and the interest group. Sorry, what am I saying? There's the interest group and the systematic group. So if you're caught in desire, you can, and you have an interest, you can only see the manifestation. And free from desire, then it's pretty obvious. Then you realize the mystery. The mystery is the system. So yeah. So in order to perceive the system, you have to have no interest. Having no interest means like having no particular interest, I guess. Like, of course, you want to understand the system, but you don't hold it from a certain perspective. And that can be also translated to, so in my opinion, it could be also pattern and matter. So yeah, so I hope this is making more sense now. So yet mystery and manifestation arise from the same source. The source is called darkness, right? Darkness within darkness is the gateway to all understanding. So what does that gibberish mean? So mystery is the system and the pattern, and the manifestation is the interest and matter, right? Yet system and matter, they all arise from the same source, and the source is called darkness. What is the darkness? Darkness is the unaware, or you can also say darkness is very dark, right? And what else is dark is the shadow. So in shadow is also the unconscious. So darkness within darkness, it means the unconscious within unconscious. So two layers down of unconscious, is the gateway to all understanding, because that is the collective unconscious, is what this could potentially mean. And that is just my interpretation, of course, and you are free to have your own opinion about this. But yeah, so I think I already talked about this one. So this is just the inner circle of that other bigger one. So yeah, and how they came about is this thing. I think I already explained this, so I won't repeat. But yeah, and this is to just show you separately about the main two things. That is the leaf group and the petal group. So that, as we said last time, I think, like, so if you connect the two cognitive functions with each other, if you connect in one direction, that would be one type, and then if you go back the other way, it's another type. So, and you can do this for all of 4 lines, and then you get 8 types here. And then if you connect it in this way, then you get yet another 8 different types. So it also kind of means that these two things include all the types that can be found within this model. Why? Because according to the Jungian analytical psychology, the rules of the cognitive functions is that for each type, the hero and the parent, they cannot be having any of these relationship with each other. So they cannot be a cognitive reflection and the cognitive orbit or the cognitive axis to each other. So these things are eliminated. So you eliminated those lines. And you also eliminated loops lines. They also cannot be inner loops to each other. So the loops are the functions on the same half as you. So if you are an extroverted function, if you connect any of lines to another extroverted function, it's a loop. So except for the parallel ones, of course, if you connect it to these two, it's a loop. And same thing for the introverted function. So yeah, and there are 8 of those. So if you eliminate these ones and these ones, and you're left with these ones, why? Because the combination of 8 out of 2 has a total of 28 lines. So if you dig that mathematically, you are left with only these ones. So yeah, and there are 8 lines each, and each line has 2 types, because going one direction is 1, other direction is 1. So 2 times of 8 is 16, right? So that is your 16 types here. So yeah, so these ones are just explaining again, so I don't need to explain it. And if you put them in a circle next to each other, and if you look at only the connections needed to create a cognitive function type, and you can notice the lines look like something like this. And so if you layer those two on top of each other, it looks like this. And you can also call the flower of ego. So yeah, because it contains all the possible egos, shape of ego. And this is the other, so if you subtract this, and then you have this one. So these are the three movements which was left out from the other the the ones for the leaves and the petals. And so yeah, so I think I already went over this, but yeah, so this is the, so each movement has a name, and it is also relevant to a side of mind. So this one is related to the unconscious, because if you go down, so if you, for example, if you have FE hero, this one is FI, so the shadow or the unconscious side of mind, it's always it always has a complementing relationship with your ego. So, and they're in an orbit with each other. And this is another system I'm studying right now called the Cognitive Personality Theory by Harris Morel. And I had observed that they have the same relationship for these ones. So it's just for you to note, but you don't have to worry about them because they mean the same thing. And unconscious is relevant to maturity and relationship. Why? Because unconscious, because they are in complementary, so it includes the functions that you are missing in your ego. So if you have a healthy unconscious, then you are a mature person, right? And you are a whole person. And if you find a partner or someone who is in cognitive orbit with you, cognitively, then it's more likely that two of you would be compatible. But that would depend on what is your aptigram, and what's your type and your aptigram, and also what is their type and their aptigram. So yeah, but even so, of course, humans are very versatile. So if you are unfortunate enough that your romantic interest is not in cognitive complement to you, it's still okay. Just one of you will have to cognitive transition to a different side of mind to accommodate the other, or both will have to do in some way, maybe like take turn doing that in order to have a more compatible relationship. So yeah, and subconscious is the axis, and because when you go to your subconscious, you are changing the order of your cognitive functions, flip them upside down, right? So yeah, so by flipping them upside down, everything is in opposite order. Or you can also say like river flowing in the reverse direction. So it is the same full function, just changing the direction of flow. And why is that important? Because while you can use the function a certain way, sometimes it's because of their cognitive attitude. Like you have your hero, your parent, and your child, and then your inferior. But if you flip them upside down, it means that what used to be the inferior is now the hero, and what used to be a child is now the parent. So it will be quite an adjustment for you, but it's also a way of changing perspective, and that is important because you need to have, like, it's important to have a flexible mind to be happy, because happiness is not about your possessions. It's more about how much you appreciate what you have. So you have your full functions, and the way that you can appreciate them is by using them more flexibly. Like, you can have the river flowing this way, and you can have the river flowing the other way, and you get the benefit of both. So it's relevant to the hope and dreams, and sometimes this is very hard to do, and it might be the hardest, depending on the person, because they don't want to change their perspective or something like that. And this one, the horizontal one, is your superego. So what superego is basically the subconscious of your unconscious. See how that works? Because for example, for my type, right, I'm INFP, so FI, NE, INFP, 2 and 2. So I have FI, NE, and SI, and TE. So this is my ego, and my subconscious is just going in reverse order, and my shadow is this one here. So ENFJ, like this. So my superego is then this one going in reverse, and superego is the hero of the ego is in reflection of my hero of the ego. wait. Super ego's hero is in reflection with my ego's hero. Yeah, that's right. And the parent of my ego is in reflection with the parent of my superego, and vice versa. So that is why, and it is related to the change and growth, because it's like going in completely opposite direction from how you would usually go. So in a way that it opposes you, but it is also showing you a different way of considering things. So it makes it difficult. It makes things difficult. Like, why? Because so for example, this one is all about how I feel, right? And this one is about logic. So sometimes these two are in conflict, and preferring over one means neglecting over the other. And but sometimes there's like a push and pull. So that's why the superego is, like they say, fighting the control with the ego, because they are so close yet so far away. Yeah. So close yet completely opposite to each other. And so yeah. So it is a way to challenge yourself, and whether you can overcome it and grow from it. and then become an enlightened person in a sense. So yeah. And so if you understand the three movements, then you can start understanding why everything is arranged this way. So because we know that according to C.S. Joseph's Jungian analytical psychology model, there are 4 temples within the human mind, and within those 4 temples, they are also associated with 2 God functions each one, and the God functions are the ones in the light brown circle. So for the soul temple is the NE and FI, and for mind temple is these 2, and then for heart temple is these 2, and for the body temple is these 2. So if you plot them in a 4 sides of mind quarters, or I don't know how you call this, then you can see the relationship is exactly mirroring the 3 movements. So the soul and mind is conjunctively reflecting each other, and the heart and the body is conjunctively reflecting each other. The soul and heart has a complementary relationship, or you call it orbit relationship, and the heart and the body, they have an orbit relationship, and then the heart and the mind temple has an axis relationship, and the soul and the body temple has an axis relationship with each other. So then you understand that's why the temple look like this, why they are rearranged this way, and as above, so below. So God function look like this, and temples look like this. So your 4 sides of mind would also look like this, and yeah. So everything in your 4 sides of mind would also look like this in a person, if they happen to be an ENFP. And then these are the names for those 4 sides of mind and the positions. So ego to the subconscious, and the unconscious to the superego. And what this also means is also the soul temple is the ego of humanity, and the heart temple is the unconscious of humanity, and the mind temple is the superego of humanity, and the body temple is the subconscious of humanity. So yeah. So if you see why it looks like this, then you start to understand, then this is the optogram, right? Because this is unconscious development, and this is subconscious development, because unconscious is here, subconscious is here, and unconscious focus means having a pull, a directional pull towards unconscious. So these 2 is then having an unconscious focus, and this one is being a subconscious focus because it's being pulled towards the subconscious. So then these 2 are subconscious focus. And we don't worry about the living virtue and deadly sins for now. So yeah. And what this also means is this present humanity, right? So that also means throughout different time, humanity would have different octagon in history according to this, because they have different focus at a time. For example, in the ancient time, people always talking about how the person should behave and being very spiritual and but in a tribal society, everybody is considered as one, or being part of being one, in a sense, being part of the universe. And then later on, maybe, I don't know which one goes first, but if, like, for example, Renaissance, they focus on what they can bring into reality, like creating a legacy for the future generations, and but also a bit of high tempo, right? Because it's also about passion and creativity. And but the revolution, like the French Revolution or American Revolution, would be the high tempo, right? Because it's all about passion and freedom and compassion. So yeah, and the my tempo is about education. Um, what is what is what is considered, education and teaching, and then being real, being logical, being efficient. That is kind of the domain of my tempo, because it is affected by the ESTP, but in specific SE gut function and TI gut function. So if you understand what SE and TI means, you understand the tempo. So yeah. So I think, so yeah, so that's why the four sides of mind look, and sorry, the four tempo look like this, but also the four sides of mind. Yeah. So yeah, as we discussed before, so if you, so this is the cognitive alchemy version of representing the tempo, right? So this is the representation of soul tempo, this is mind tempo, this is heart tempo, this is body tempo. So if so, and you can see that the representation of the tempo is just the leaf and pedal, but with some directional arrows, because all the members of soul tempo, have their arrows starting from the perceiving functions, like this one, and this one, and that one. So yeah. And whereas the mind tempo has their directional arrows from the judging functions. So yeah. Oh, yeah, this one and that one, right? So same as the heart and body tempo. So as you can see, they are all based off the leaf and petals model. And so and there are actually no difference between the dark green and light green and the dark red and the pink. It's just easier for you to see the four sides of mind, because it's just the two diaped laying on top of each other, like combining the two dial pairs, then you get the tempo drawing. So it's easier to see, I guess. But except the dark red is a bit too dark to see. But anyways, so then you know the top half are the pedal, and the bottom half is the leaf one, and this side is the judging side, and this side is the perceiving side. So yeah, and that's the four sides of mind. And you can combine the tempos, like these two combine, and you can combine, oh sorry, these two combine and these two combine, then you get the judging and the perceiving with directional arrows, and they are both flower of connection with directions. So just to show you how everything fit together. So yeah, and we won't talk about this just yet because this video will be too long, but yeah, so then you know what this means, right? Yeah, and that's it for now. So um I think I will talk with you next year then. Thank you. Bye.